If you're aquascaping in your house or something, just keep doing this. It's like tongs at a barbecue. You pretty much make things taste better and you look like you know what you're doing the more times you click the tongs. Hey everybody, Cory from Aquariumcoop. Today we're working in the fish room. What are we working on? One of the 40 breeders. That's our mission, to get all these 40 breeders looking better. This is gonna be the prototype on some of the stuff. For the rest, I'm gonna move probably all the tanks a little bit. You'll find out why. Had some goldfish on duckweed patrol. They look to have gotten, I don't see any, maybe all of it. If not, I will net the last few remaining ones out. I'm gonna scape this tank a little bit. Scaping's the wrong word. I gotta create a new word. It's not scaping. I'm gonna put some rocks in this tank. I'm gonna put some plants in this tank, but I'm not going for a highly aquascape tank. I wanna set this tank up to really let some fish love this bad boy. I'm not willing to sacrifice the fish choice and all of these things to make it look aesthetically pleasing. Instead, I want the fish to be super happy. Oh yeah, the center. We've got the recliner, which is awesome because I can sit in it. I'll do the demo for you guys. We're getting more chairs and stuff too, so that we can have meetings and more people can hang out here. But the goal is, you can be looking and you can go all the way around. And so that's how I was able to get a shot on the eel for the Facebook group. I was able to zoom in and be far enough away. I was actually using that stool there, but that's when I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it. So the more time I spend in here, the more you guys get. All right, let me spin around. Giant leaves. They're changing due to the light, right up there. Turtles, keep spinning. So I can be chilling here looking at the turtles. Now, still haven't haven't started setting up that tank yet. Been buying supplies and things like that. I've got to readjust things. So one of the things I did was disconnect the super big air pump because it was a little bit loud, and went to the one that we sell. Let me show you. Down here. Boom. So I was running that big bad boy and the small one to run all the totes and all that stuff. And I use a big old battery backup. You can see that. I've got other little air pumps. Not all those were from us, by the way. I used to buy them from gemco.com way back in the day. But I've got extras. Now I only have to run this one little one that runs all of my tanks, the 800 gallon, that tank, all of these tanks, that tank. But I need to go adjust them because I took away a huge amount of air capacity. I love the battery backup because it'll go for like 4 or 5 days with the power going out. I got some flagfish on the scene working on some of these algae. This thing is gonna get a real thorough overhaul when we move the eel to my living room. Maybe a little bit of plant learning. What I wanna show you is these plants have been in this tote 5 days. And plants actually do really well as long as you keep them kind of moist. And that's what we've done. So I've got on the bottom layer, 10 Crypt One Deadeye Reds. On the top layer, 10 Lutea cryptocorynes. So we look in here. This is just paper towel to keep it moist. And you can see here, this is what it looks like. And so if we pull out some of these plants, looking pretty good. Yeah, you've got a leaf or two that are turning yellow. That's fine. You're really all we care about is these roots. That's what we care about. And all of these leaves, for the most part, are gonna die back except for the newest ones in the center. These are all growing out of water at a farm before we got them. And so the newest leaves come out of the center. These old ones, you can see the ones all the way on the outside, turning yellow. People will ask a lot of times, should I cut this off? You totally could. I don't, because they're consuming it to fuel new growth. So this, to me, like, oh, this is 1/50th or 1/20th of a root tab. Leave it on there. And you can see some have melted. You know, this is what happens in shipping for us. So you see, here's this, and you see this leaf right here. Where'd the leaf go? They get stuck on the material. So that happens a lot when you guys order as well. Some of those immersed leaves, some of the oldest leaves, kind of get stuck. You can see that. But for the most part, you're getting a big healthy plant. And so then we got Lutea underneath. This is fairly close to what happens when you get it shipped. This was a bit more climate controlled. So do know that it's not a one-to-one comparison. You'll see aquascapers and stuff, they'll spray their plants a lot. We really like paper towels. This is what we do at the warehouse. So let's say in the morning we're packing thousands of plants to go out in the day. and then it's break time. You cover them with paper towels, you go take your break so they don't dry out. All the totes being gone, so spacious in here. I like where it's going. Could be ping pong table coming in here. That's what I feel like is gonna happen. For the most part, just collecting supplies and figuring out what I wanna do. There's new fish in here, fish have moved. Remember when these guys were all my trout goodeids? You guys were like, what's that fish? Called Iliadin furcidens, or the trout goodeiid. They're a live bearer. I moved them over here. Cory, why'd you move them over there? Tell us. Oh, because they're wicked good hair algae eaters. Now the internet is on fire and people are looking for these. So if you look at the back, what's that fry doing? He's picking at all the algae. There was lots of algae in the gravel, hair algae, right? All through here. Not anymore, they ate it all. So I could keep moving these guys around, but they just need to breed. And I think they're gonna look good with all the val. Yeah, I gotta clean the top and the light's too far back. But that's one of the problems we wanna address today. Why are we moving the tanks? I think, and I don't know it yet, so we're gonna test it on the end tank, way down there. If these were mounted on the end, right? So you mount it, boom, on the end. I think it's gonna be better. Because I want them all plugged in full time, so I don't have to recharge the batteries ever. Just plug them in full time, and if the cord comes out here, that looks not good. If I put it where this sits here, the port will face the back, and imagine a 2-foot cord that just plugged in. It'd be great, right? And then I want to cut this glass top like that, so the auto feeder can happen. The light can sit where I want it to, and I want the ability to open and close. That's what I don't have until I cut the tops. So you could imagine I close this bad boy, get the light where I want it. I like them right in the middle, a little bit to the front of the strip. Now we see the fish a little bit better. That tank looks a lot better than it did 2 minutes ago. Real important. In fact, I shot a whole video on light placement and everything for retail partner stores. So hopefully the fish will start looking better at your fish stores. So that's the way I like it. But you'll notice the minute I go to feed, right? That starts sliding and it starts moving. So my goal is we take these, if I mount it here, and then let's say we had this glass top cut from here to here, and this part was flipped to the back, right? So then this whole part, light still stayed there, real easy to feed, frozen and dry and all of that. And only when I need to catch fish would this need to move. I think that makes a lot of sense. So that's what we're gonna try long term, and the first step is a prototype up here. And so I'm gonna play with this tank today. I'm gonna mount a feeder on this end. So the light is highly water resistant, so that's gonna help me with this test. I'm basically gonna let it be like this. If I can pull this light way to the front, open this all the way up, put it right back here. That's essentially, I'm gonna move the sponge filter because it's not optimal to have water spritzing on it. It's gonna, one, get clogged up with algae, and two, potentially long term, we see failures. Not in our light yet, but I assume it'll happen. I've seen it happen in stingrays and flu balls and other stuff over the years where, a year and a half of that, eventually the calcium and that kind of stuff will creep through the waterproofing mechanisms. That's the test I want to run. We grab an auto feeder and run that test, see how it goes, and then we know. Then every tank, we got to drain a ton, and all of them got to move. If we move them 2 feet, then we can have enough gap between each one. So that's the testing today. Bought some supplies. One of the reasons I haven't done the turtle tank yet is I want to use Powerheads on sponge filters. In fact, I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna set this down and show you guys. All right, so here's a sponge filter. You guys know and love them. You use them with air, right? Not enough people know you can run a Powerhead. We've made our Powerheads to fit these. So let me do it one-handed. It's way easier two-handed, by the way. So now you have a Powerhead that'll suck water through here and shoot out. Whoa, that would have been bad if that broke my tank. The twofer is you can stack these. Well, that means we're gonna take this dirty sponge, we're gonna remove the top part, and we're gonna remove the lower part, and we're gonna put those together to make super sponge. They're kind of a pain to clean, but in some instances, like this, African cichlid tanks, Oscars, maybe you've got a tall decoration. This, I'm doing it mostly out of wanting to show it off, but I do envision there being some dead spots over here when we put in the part where they're gonna get out of the water and lay their eggs. And so I'm gonna put a Powerhead with a sponge underneath it to get the water out into the mix, basically. And there we go. So disconnected the top part as I showed you. We've connected the new sponge filter right here. And then all the water is blowing that way. Now you can choose to use the suction cups or not. I usually don't. And it's a little bit awkward with the medium because you see how it sticks out a little bit? You can do it. The larges, that doesn't work because the larges are too fat, but the mediums you can. The reason I don't, because then to get that thing apart when you want to clean it, it's kind of a bear, and you don't want to wrestle with this thing when it's full of crud, right? You kind of just want to disconnect the top, get a bag around it, pull it out. So we just changed our filter from this uplift motion like this. So that one still does that. This one is gonna suck in and do this. You can see this waving, one, because of the air, but then two, because of the current. And so you don't want a ton current. Like I don't use this method in small tanks, 125 gallons. What is nice about something like this, if you notice you're getting an algae pocket or mulm or something where you don't want it, you can always move that Powerhead. You can move it this direction, that direction, and change the flow pattern. All right, so here was what I consider the blank canvas. Yes, there's stuff in the water. I'm not cleaning it. Why not, Cory? Well, because there is a 1.5 years of pleco poop in here, basically, and snail poop. That is 1 billion root tabs, kind of, right? It's not everything, but you know, this stuff will clear off on top of the leaves. You know, it's really easy just to, hey, get off there, right? That'll all settle out. But this down here, all that's just good plant loving. Now, you see this Anubias or some pieces here that aren't so savory? You just break those off. You can cut them off too, but there it goes. And so you can kind of trim up an Anubias rhizome like that and just kind of see, because the leaves don't repair, by the way. You know, this growth here is going to be new to the fish room, just getting set up, fertilizer undialed in, not a lot of fish. And as it kept growing, it got healthier and healthier. And here's the newest leaf, right? So you can see that depending on how you take care of your plants and the established aquarium, how well it'll do. Next, I want to show you the rocks I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about using some chicken bone stone, as it's called. We import this from China. It's for sale in our store. It's kind of crumbly, so it's not good for shipping. You could order it from somewhere online, but just know it's a little crumbly. Rocks look so different versus wet versus dry. So when you pick up a rock like this, and you're going, yeah, I don't know, is that a cool looking rock? And then when you get it wet though, you go, oh, wait a second, this actually it's pretty dynamic as a rock. And so I'll touch on this. Why does each one wrapped in plastic? Because people think, like, I thought you cared about the environment. I totally do. Legally, to bring this into the country, anything from China has to say made in China. So we had to wrap it in plastic and put a tag on it that says product of China. It's not just good enough by the box because we sell by the piece in the store. So I wish we didn't have to. There you go. So often in the store, everyone picks the best possible looking rocks. The problem is you have to have rocks that are hidden. So when I need to put a rock in that back against the wall, I'm gonna put rocks above it and in front of it. You won't even see that rock. So a lot of times you can save money by just buying a bulk thing, kind of sorting through and picking out your favorites, and then knowing, okay, this rock, yeah, I don't really like it. It'll go towards the back. And it's still totally usable, and it's still, you know, from every angle you look at it, it's gonna look okay. I'm gonna work on cleaning some rocks. So now you can see my dust storm I've made. Add a little bit of gravel, and this is the scape I came up with. I used 1.5 boxes of rock, so just know that. The coolest piece, actually, that was down below that we saw originally with the bigger vein that I liked, most of it wasn't matching that. So it kind of came out this way. You can see the flow, though, when people say, like, oh, what's the flow pattern like in a sponge filter? It's that. The sponge is back in that area. So there's two things I can do. first, we're gonna put a plant all the way around here. Second, I could put a plant back there. It has to be, doesn't have to be, but different texture, different color, not anything red or orange makes sense back there probably. Not sure what I would do yet, but I do know I want to carpet, you know, and fill in this out here. One of the tricks if you're new to trying to make a tank look good, it's burying things. This rock right here is actually like a rock, but you bury it because that's what you see in nature. This right here is not perfect for me, but with algae and thyme and plants, it'll fill in. So now I got to bring in some of the plants, which I don't think I'm gonna have quite enough plants, so I'm gonna have to get some more, but I wasn't sure what I was gonna do yet. So now that we know, I added some substrate to the back, make it a little bit thicker up front here, so the roots will have room to expand for the plant. I did want to point out earlier, I saw that the Java ferns in here and the algae and stuff are starting to pearl. I don't know if it's doing it now, but the lights are really doing well. So thank you guys for buying them. And a lot of you guys are seeing drastic changes in your plant tanks also just by changing the light. So yeah, I moved the decoration we had in that first tank right there, filled that area in. One of the plants I'm considering is a very rare plant, African fern bulbitis, grows super slow, hard to get it ethically, and mine's covered in blackberry algae, so I gotta clean it up first, but something like this in the back of the rocks might look really good. For now, I'm grabbing plants, I'm gonna start planting them. I've only got 10, I probably need 20. Why would you buy potted aquarium plants? Why would you buy them from Aquariumcoop other than Cory is a good guy? Well, I love potted plants because this is, right here is total 4 potted plants. And I wanna show you all the stages. So like that's a potted plant, this row down here is a potted plant. This is a potted plant where I just took the rock wool off. Now, what you wouldn't know if you're new to plants is this is a bunch of plants. You just separate the roots. I know I'm doing this one-handed, which is much harder, and I could damage the plant. I'm gonna try and set it down and do it here. Oh, come on. I'm just damaging them, but you see how they separate out into little pieces. And so when you buy a plant from us, you're getting, you know, you might see a competitor and they're like, each cryptocoryne is $2 or $3, and you'll get this. This will show up in the mail and you paid $3 for it. But with us, on average, because there's no rhyme or reason, like this one had 4, that one seemed to have 4, sometimes they have 6, sometimes they have 3, but you're getting a bunch of plantable plants. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, there's 5 on this one, 4 on that one. So Aquariumcoop tweezers. You can use your hands, but let me show you why I keep these around. You can grab a plant, right? Grab a plant. It's really in the foreground where this really makes a difference. What you want to do is you want to get the roots and put them in at an angle. So if I go with my fingers, right, and grab this, the best I can do is kind of put it in there and the hole is as big as my fingers. If I use these, I can get it in and then twist. So that's what you do. You grab it. We're gonna put it right here. You get it in. See how it's down to the side? You release, give a little shake, put it back. Now, you tug it up just a little bit. You kind of right that plant, give it some support, just like that. And you get to make this sound, which always makes you sound like a professional. If you're aquascaping in your house or something, just keep doing this. It's like tongs at a barbecue. You pretty much make things taste better and you look like you know what you're doing the more times you click the tongs. I'm gonna go with 2 hands and speed this up because, you know, I got a decent amount, but it looks like 10 pots will do it. I've got to, you know, fill in this corner some more over here. I started over there, and obviously all these plants are going to spread. If I was a good YouTuber, which I'm not, I would have brought 40 pots and this thing would look like it's done today. The problem is, I don't think that's realistic. 10 pots is already $100. And with the rocks, they're probably another $200. So we're into it for $300. I think it's gonna look pretty cool when it's grown in about 2-3 months. But I wanted to keep it realistic and not just go, well, if I throw $500 at it and I make it look really good, it'll make me $1,000 because people from YouTube will watch it. All right, back to plan. that's how it turned out for today. We'll check in on tomorrow, see if we got to make any last minute adjustments, but now you kind of just let the forest grow. I will say one thing that tweezers allowed me to do, my fingers couldn't. I was able to get some plants in between the rocks that my hand would not have fit. So you can see it like there and there. And those, when they grow in that hole, that hole, and that hole, it's going to make this seem like it's more of like an actual mountain type build. Well, it's the next day. And now I can kind of see, it's not super clear. It looks a little cloudy on camera, but way better than yesterday, obviously. You can see a little bit of purling going on just from having the light. Every once in a while, you'll see a bubble come off of a plant. So that's a good sign. We got enough light and everything. And I think this came out pretty good. Once this really fills in green all throughout here, I want it so that these plants, they're a little tall right now. The light being tall or brighter, it's gonna make them be down a little bit. I expect them to be about this tall all the way through and basically not even see gravel. And some of these rocks like that one, definitely that one will just disappear. You know, seeing it cleared up, this orange and rust color, I'm thinking maybe cherry shrimp, a really nice, you know, get a good grade of cherry shrimp going. Maybe just a simple white cloud. Cherry shrimp and a white cloud might look real nice. I thought about schooling fish. I'm not sure what I want to do yet. I basically want to see the cherry shrimp crawling on the mountains. All right, well, thanks for hanging out with me today. That's another tank in the works, you know, still growing in, still got lots more to do. All right, we'll see ya. Ooh, look at those guys.
Thanks for watching this video. We hope that you enjoyed it. We picked another one that we thought you might like. You can click on it right here.